So Bethesda Game Studios is hosting their own E3 conference. You guys probably have known that if you've been following social media or anything like that. There's been a lot of advertisements for it. In this video, I basically want to break down all of the information you're going to want to know going into this conference so you can kind of get the most out of it. Things that have already been established and are confirmed to be appearing at it, and things that may be a surprise, a pleasant one, and a lot of things people are speculating to see there. So let's start it off simple. When and where is the Bethesda E3 conference? Technically, it's taking place in Los Angeles, but I assume if you're going there physically, you probably already know when and where it is. If you want to watch it on the internet, it's actually going to start at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. I'm not going to break down all the time zones in this video, but at the first link in the sources section of the video description, you can click on that and see when that is for your time zone. And I guess depending on your time zone, this is occurring on Sunday, June 10th. You'll pretty much be able to watch it wherever major streaming is done, so whether that be YouTube, Twitch, and I'm sure even some of the more obscure platforms will have a stream of some sort, and also on this platform. So if you just want to watch me, I will actually do kind of a live stream over it. I'll watch the conference live and I'll show you everything that gets announced, but also give my opinions, feedback with each subsequent announcement, and do a little bit of a post-show analysis to really see what we got and some of the new details we of course get on Fallout 76. So that's a good transition. We actually know a few things that are 100% getting showed at this conference. The first and major title that you probably heard of is Fallout 76. That's going to be a brand new game by Bethesda Game Studios. There's a pretty important distinction to make here. The conference is being hosted by Bethesda Softworks. That's a publisher. Any games that Bethesda Softworks publishes are going to be featured here, so there's going to be a variety of different game developers. Even though the two names are pretty similar, Bethesda Softworks is different from Bethesda Game Studios. They're two totally different companies. Bethesda Softworks is like the parent publisher, while Bethesda Game Studios is the in-house developer. So Bethesda Game Studios is making Fallout 76. That has been announced. It's probably going to be one of the biggest attractions of the show, unless they really shock us. A quick synopsis of that teaser trailer, if you haven't watched it, is the major difference between this game and some of the others are Fallout 76 is going to take place in a control vault only 25 years after the bombs dropped. So while many of the other Fallouts take place over 200 years after the bombs dropped, this time around you're probably going to see people that were alive before the Great War. We know for a fact it's going to take place in the greater DC region. A lot of people thinking that's going to be West Virginia because it says it in the trailer. Outside of that, we don't really know too much about this game. There's been a bunch of leaks to come out since then. So keep your eyes open. We may find out it's actually going to be a multiplayer Fallout of some sort that's going to have some survival aspects, and apparently it's going to have a heavy base building component, but this should all be confirmed or denied at this conference. And then finally, we really want to know when this game is going to be coming. We don't have a release date just yet. I imagine that'll also be revealed at the conference. There's been some speculation or leaks pointing towards a July release date or summer in general, so that could be interesting, but I would say a safe bet is to expect the traditional November release as many Fallouts have had. So that's the first game we know 100% for a fact will be featured at E3, and I imagine it's actually going to make up a pretty big portion of the show. Something that isn't confirmed explicitly, but that's really likely to be shown, is also a mobile game that is Fallout themed. 3 years ago, with the announcement and reveal of Fallout 4, we actually got Fallout Shelter also. That was a really big success, and it kind of held you over until the full game got released, and in interviews past, Bethesda Game Studios has confirmed that they're always going to be working on a mobile game. The interesting part about this, if it actually is revealed, is, at least with Fallout Shelter, it was actually available same day, so you could download it at the time of that conference. So the next thing we actually do have confirmed 100% is Rage 2, and we actually have a lot of information about Rage 2. It's going to be a new upcoming open world shooter that takes place in another post-apocalyptic setting, quite distinctive from Fallout's though. For this game, we actually have a standard cinematic trailer as well as a gameplay trailer, but some of the more nitty-gritty on those gameplay details hasn't been revealed yet, and I bet that's something we see a lot of at this conference. One reason to get excited for this game though is the developers. id Software is making a return. They actually made the first Rage, and you probably know them from Doom of 2016 that came out of course a few years ago. They're really well known for their shooter games, and that should be a solid component of this Rage 2. In addition, there's also another developer with Avalanche Studios. This is the part that personally got me pretty excited. Avalanche was actually the guys behind all of the Just Cause games in addition to the very recent Mad Max game. They have created really awesome open world games with a ton of replayability in Just Cause 2 and 3, so hopefully we'll see something similar brought over with Rage 2. We don't have a specific release date on this one, but we do know it's going to be released in spring of 2019, so don't get too excited. We'll probably hear more about this at next next year's E3 also. Those are the two major AAA games that we know 100% are coming at this E3, and although I think there may be another AAA game there, we'll get into that into the end of this video when I start speculating a little bit. We also know that Prey is going to get a space or moon themed DLC of some sort. We actually know nothing about this. This hasn't been revealed fully yet, except that it is coming, and we're going to find the full reveal at this E3. Prey was a pretty popular game. I mean, there's a lot they could do with this DLC. I would expect something of a larger expansion, not just a typical kind of $5 DLC pack. Bethesda has announced a lot of smaller things leading up to this E3, so I would imagine they're saving the prime time for something that's going to actually be worth it. So outside of that, it's kind of a toss-up. There's probably going to be just a bunch of miscellaneous things that Bethesda has been saving for their E3 conference. They have tweeted in the past that they are going to have new things to show that we've never heard of before. Some of those being pretty predictable. We'll probably get a VR and Switch port announcement for some of their games. So look out for The Evil Within 2, Wolfenstein 2, or even Prey actually getting ported over to the Nintendo Switch or getting a VR version. I would say Prey is a little bit less likely though, since of course we are hearing about its new DLC. And actually on an apparent Nintendo leaked document from a few weeks ago, we did see Wolfenstein 2 ported over in addition to Fallout 3 Anniversary. So this has been a topic of much speculation over the past few weeks. This is going to be the 10th anniversary of Fallout 3. That was a massive game for Bethesda Game Studios specifically, and it seems like we may see something about this, but again, that's total speculation. There's been a few hints and rumors pointing towards this. We see it on the occasional leak, so I'd say it's definitely plausible to appear here, but what I would expect if we actually do get a Fallout 3 remastered this year is something fairly basic. Like maybe it will just be Fallout 3 ported over to the Switch and called Fallout 3 Anniversary Edition, maybe getting some updated textures and performance improvements, but that's really it. If you go in expecting a full overhaul of the game, I'd bet you'd be pretty disappointed. Even a Fallout 3 release in general is pretty unlikely because now of course it's going to compete with Fallout 76 in some way. So although I would say hopeful for that one, again I would put it at the fairly unlikely column. We also do have those two like miscellaneous things that just print money, that being the Elder Scrolls Online as well as the Elder Scrolls Legends. The Elder Scrolls Online actually just got a new expansion pack released yesterday, so maybe we'll see an announcement of a new one, although I kind of feel like that's unlikely. The Elder Scrolls Legends, as long as they continue support for it, which it seems like they are, will probably get the announcement of a new expansion pack. And then finally, I would really look out for just one AAA game that hasn't really been announced yet. Bethesda has talked about how this is their longest E3 conference ever, and yet it really doesn't seem like it based off what we expect to be coming. That coupled with, again, those comments that there are going to be surprises at this E3 and new things that we have yet to see makes me think that either an outside company or one of the Bethesda's core companies was working on something. Whether that be a sequel to one of their main series like Doom 2 or a totally new game, who really knows? I know a lot of people are really hoping for a new Starfield release, which if you don't know is actually a trademark filed by ZeniMax, the parent company to Bethesda, that has been getting regularly updated, with the last update only being a month ago. So that's pretty much all the information you're going to need to know going into this E3 to be pretty well prepared and hopefully to level your expectations. The real oddballs for many of us is, one, what kind of features Fallout 76 actually has, to the extent of the supposed multiplayer for it, and in addition, whether or not we actually see a Fallout 3 remastered. I'm going to say Fallout 76 is going to be the main attraction here, so whatever that other AAA game I predict is, I'm going to go out on a whim and say it's probably not going to be super massive or like a new Elder Scrolls or anything like that. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. Hopefully you found this helpful, informative, or whatever. Also, I do want to remind you all, I am going to be live streaming this. I'm going to probably start a little bit before the conference start time and just kind of go over everything as it happens. I'll remain silent when some of the trailers play, but then give my own commentary, my own live reactions as things do occur. So if you are interested, you can subscribe or just come back to this channel at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time on Sunday. Either way, we do have today's psychology fun fact, and it's actually going to be about how women control more wealth than men despite earning less money and what exactly is going on there. And in addition, it's going to be sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp's a website that's going to more or less allow you to get online counseling for pretty much any issue you're having that is psychologically based. One of the main mantras of this website is simply to make mental health services available to as many people as possible. You're going to have literally thousands of different mental health specialists to choose from, so you could find one that fits your very specific needs. If you are interested and you want to actually get help for any of the various problems you may have, you can find a link down below to where you could sign up. So there's a simple reality. It is a fact that women control more wealth than men do, but earn less than men do. And honestly, it's a fairly straightforward answer. Women live longer than men. So most people end up getting married, they have a couple, and obviously you have your assets kind of split. But since the the average life expectancy for a woman could be 5 to 10 years longer than the average life expectancy for men, the wife, who would eventually sadly become the widower in this situation, controls the wealth while the man is, well, dead. It's a pretty interesting phenomenon that has more or less been a result of the end of the baby boomer era, or the end of many of their lives. In addition, there might be that question as to why do men have higher mortality rates, and I think that's largely going to be a problem of stress. Heart disease is the leading killer in the US currently, and obviously we don't have the healthiest eating habits, and men in general have this kind of bread bringer mentality. Now, this isn't to be sexist or say that women's lives aren't stressful, but if you look at many 50s, 60s families, people that are old nowadays, there was a dynamic that existed where the mom was stay at home and took care of the kids, cleaned up the house, things like that, and the man actually went out to work. The years and years of that dynamic has resulted in men having a lower life expectancy, whether it be through stress, just the taxing of physical labor on the body, and things like that. Either way, I found this pretty interesting, so I wanted to share it with you. As always, I thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you guys all next time. Later.